Here's the scary part. No one knows what happens if the US defaults because it's never happened before. And a global financial meltdown. I'm breaking down the debt ceiling crisis and why this affects you directly.
The debt ceiling is like a credit limit for the US government. Right now, that limit sits at $31.4 trillion. America has already spent every penny. Here's what most people don't understand. Raising the ceiling doesn't approve new spending. It just lets the Treasury pay for what Congress has already bought. Think of it like this. You already ate at the restaurant. Now the bill is due. But if Congress doesn't raise it by June 1st, the US could default for the first time in history. And the consequences? Catastrophic. $31.4 trillion debt equals more than US plus China plus Japan GDP combined June. One deadline per Yellen's letter 65M. Americans depend on Social Security 1.4 meters. Active military could miss paychecks.
But economists agree, your 401k could lose 30% overnight. Your mortgage rate could skyrocket. This is your problem. Here's the irony. Both sides agree the US cannot default, but neither wants to blink first.
So why isn't Congress acting? One word: politics. Republicans, led by Speaker Kevin McCarthy, want massive spending cuts in exchange for raising the ceiling. Democrats, including President Biden, say the ceiling should be raised without conditions. Just like it was 78 times since 1960. And here's the kicker. 3 of those times were under Trump. No conditions. No drama. Just raised. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has been blunt. A default would be an economic catastrophe. Meanwhile, McCarthy insists no hike without fiscal responsibility. And Congresswoman Maxine Waters calls it a manufactured crisis. Janet Yellen, economic catastrophe. Kevin McCarthy, fiscal responsibility first. Maxine Waters, manufactured crisis.
Last time we got this close, in 2011, the US credit rating was downgraded. Cost taxpayers $1.3 billion. Guess who paid? You did. Even if Congress raises the ceiling at the last minute, the damage may already be done.
A US default wouldn't just hurt Americans. It would trigger a global recession. Here's why. The US dollar is the world's reserve currency. Treasury bonds are the backbone of global finance. Countries like China and Japan hold trillions in US debt. If America can't pat their reserves evaporate, stock markets worldwide could lose over $10 trillion. The dollar collapses. Interest rates skyrocket everywhere. Mortgages, car loans, credit cards become brutally expensive, and supply chains. The US imports $3 trillion in goods every year. Delays cause shortages. Prices spike. Inflation returns with a vengeance. Global equities, $10 trillion collapse affects 190 plus countries. Mortgage rates could hit 10% plus. Supply chain chaos.
Investors could lose confidence in US debt for decades. Higher taxes, fewer services, a weaker economy for you and your kids. The bottom line, this crisis is 100% avoidable, but Congress has to act. If they don't, the fallout hits your wallet.
So what's the most likely outcome? A last-minute deal. But not before market panic and political brinkmanship. Here's the timeline. May 22nd to 26th, Biden meets McCarthy for final negotiations. May 30th, Treasury begins extraordinary measures suspending pension fund investments. June 1st, the X-date. Treasury runs out of cash. Default becomes possible. June 5th through 8th. If no deal, markets crash. The U.S. misses payments, Social Security checks don't arrive. Military families go unpaid. 3 possible solutions exist. 1. A clean debt ceiling high-quat Democrats want. Coup. Spending cuts tied to the high-crow Republicans demand. 3. The 14th Amendment workaround Biden could declare the ceiling unconstitutional. But that's legally risky and could end up in the Supreme Court. May 22nd to 26th. Final negotiations. May 30th. Extraordinary measures begin June 1st. Ex-date June 5th to 8th. Potential missed payments.